Hey guys, anybody wondering what that sounds? My water distilling in the background. I want to talk about this MIT study that came out in the 70s that was saying basically that the world would start to fall apart by 2040. Um, and you can look it up. There's been books written on it, Limits to Growth, and I haven't read, finished looking at the stuff, but what it says basically is increased population growth and use of industrial stuff that people would uh, things would get tighter, and that it goes into detail really what the world we're living in today. And I talk often about how when I watch sci-fi, RoboCop and The Outer Limits, we're living in that world. We're living in RoboCop 3. Like they had a long war while the troops were put into cryogenics and nobody cared about them. You had the zero fatality mandate, which was the same thing as Black Lives Matter, defund the police, taking away guns from the cops, weakening what they could do. People living in squatting in churches and stuff get moved out of their communities. In RoboCop, they had a team to do it. In reality, it isn't so physical. The movies, I realize when it comes to like old dystopic movies, like they saw it as government force to engage in stuff. And the world I live in, it isn't so much police or military force as much as just economics. You just can't live in certain areas. You can't do certain things in certain areas because of just the way the world has changed. You can lose your shirt. Um, and I was looking at this limits to growth thing and the people that wrote the book and did their documentary back in the day, and the guy was talking about how it pretty much came true, and it touched me because with so many of our intellectuals that have passed that are still around, I really think we have to appreciate them. And I understand now that for the left, all we're doing is telling the story. That's all we're doing. That one day someone can look back and say, hey, this guy, Carl Sagan, was in Congress in the 80s talking about climate change. And you had all these brilliant people that warned about climate change and warned about, different things. Nothing was done about it. We can't stop military industrial complex. We can't stop the way of the world, which is of imperialism and colonialism and war. The left is just in a way, the left is holding America in the present socially. That's it. But looking at those guys talk, it bothers me because they basically foretold or prophesied hell on earth. And what I saw was at least some of them are still alive to see it. And that bothered me. It touched my heart. Because what's the point? When you go to college and take physics or criminal justice, criminology, psychology, I believe that you got to have love for that field. You have to. You got to really want to learn that stuff. And you go to college and you got 3 projects at once and all that shit. So you got these people that went to college and learned all this stuff and got masters and PhDs and were able to look at economics, look at the future trends, and basically warn the world. And nothing was done about it. And they're living in an era where still nothing's been done about it. The only difference is now it's actually more dangerous because back in the day it was like, making mockery of it and stuff, and now it's actual violence. We actually have violence against Dr. Fauci and other researchers and scientists who are simply stating facts and science that we see. That's why I know we're not going to handle the future problems appropriately. If within a week of a pandemic breaking out, you got a bunch of bumpkins out in the street with guns and rifles, that's bad. Like you can't even go a week. That's really bad. And going to hospitals and blocking ambulances and sending white powder to Dr. Anthony Fauci's residence. These are representative of a society that's collapsing right before our eyes. Because in the future, if you have a major emergency, you're basically saying that whatever the government does, it will have to be accomplished with military force. These bumpkins have basically told you that. It's like a man telling the police, if you come back here to arrest me, I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna kill you. When the police come back, don't come back 5 cars deep, maybe more. They don't come back with their rifles and their shotguns and their vests on and their helmets. Because you've already stated to them your intention. I'm not going to cooperate. I'm not going with you. I don't care. I don't care if you come back here to say you wrong. Like if you don't with that police car, your life is in danger. And it just touched me that with these researchers going to college, buckling down for those years, getting all the education, and then living to see hell on earth, wildfires in Europe, heat waves in Washington State, 108 degrees for a whole week. That's never happened. That's never happened. People dying, the roads getting messed up, power lines busting because it's so hot. It's never happened. The winter storm they had in Texas. You're watching disaster, but you're also watching a certain inability or unwillingness for government to respond appropriately and to prepare for the future. Future instability is my point. Whether it be Texas, talking about that, winter, we call it the wind things don't move in the winter. They could have winterized their stuff. They chose not to. These are people who have a certain hermeneutics of suspicion in regards to climate change. You already don't believe in it. I saw this where I was living at before in North Carolina. You don't believe in technology. You don't like technology. So you don't upgrade technology. You don't learn how to use it properly. And then when it fails, you complain about it. That's how it works. You're complaining about something that you didn't know anything about in the beginning. It isn't technology's fault. I just think, you got what's called out there in Europe and stuff, man. You think it don't get cold out there? I think that, to me, it's sad. It's sad because when you see stuff like that coming on the horizon, you're supposed to die. Like, it's supposed to either get fixed, and then like one day people are like, yeah, these are heroes. Like the president gives you medals of freedom because they're like, yeah, we had this problem, and you saw it coming, and you gave us a heads up. You did this documentary, you wrote these books. Thank you. Here's your medal of freedom. But instead of America, they're seeing the hell, and they're also low-key in danger. There's a threat. Understand that. The Trump era has established a level of violence against our researchers and our scientists. And that's why I say, with Fauci and all them not wanting to be political, fuck that. When you threaten my life, you threaten my family's life, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for all of you. I'm coming for I'm coming for what you believe in, where you live. I'm coming for your God, your religion, everything. I'm coming for you. Because you already came for me. That's no longer about staying, we can't stay neutral in a society led by reactionary people that put out politics based upon reactionary straw men and nonsense like that. You can't be an impartial person, because in that kind of society, Trump administration, the government has really kind of low-key made you out as the enemy, because the government's saying that if it wasn't for Fauci and people like that, we would have this great, 1950s, all this great stuff that was going on, so-called great stuff was going on back then. And Trump said it. Trump said after scientists got their way, it shut the country down forever. He said something like that. I remember that. So in a way, Trump put their lives in danger. You always had a certain, suspicion and a mockery of the intellectuals, the effete intellect. You always had that. Trump put their lives in danger. And so to me, that's sad. Those people are heroes. They're pioneers, and they warned us. And we're really ahead of their prediction. That's what's worse. We're ahead of it. And we're getting ready to go into war with Russia. We're in a proxy war with Russia right now, which means all the climate change is out the window because of the needs of a major war with a major power like Russia. No telling what kind of instability that will create long term. It just, to me, like I said, people like that, you're supposed to die. Like you're supposed to pass away in your bed before you see it get really bad. Or you're supposed to one day, like today, be honored by the civil authorities for being a part of preparing for instability and an uncertain future. We were warned. Like I said, Carl Sagan warned us. I think that we don't deserve people like that. We really don't. We really, and it's sad because the way they talk is like there's this future great leader coming that's gonna bring the country. Like, that's not coming, bro. That's not happening. What you saw with Trump, that's the future. Even as Biden deal with the climate stuff and everything, you get another president come in, wipe that off overnight. People should understand that. We are in a feedback loop now, politically. And the right feeds off of basically doing things just to make the left feel bad. Which is, you are entertained by working against established science. That's basically what they are now. I just like Biden said about not being a political party. He's right. To me, it's sad because those people should be like friggin' tenured professors. They should have medals of freedom. They should have friggin'. They should be able to go out there and speak in front of Congress. They should be speaking in front of Congress, man. Like straight, they should be like, look, man, I'm gonna give you 20 minutes each to talk. Whatever y'all want to talk about. Like it that's sad. And it's emblematic of our values as a society now. That I'm hearing people talk about basically hardening up society. And that was the discussion a couple of decades ago. We could do this. And now it's like, yeah, we're doing this. Like we've gotten that far. And that's where climate denial has brought us to an era where all we can do basically is just build underground cities and just certain areas will just be unlivable. They're talking about that with Arizona now, that they just can't afford to have grass. They can't afford to have grass in areas because the water is so necessary. That's not being talked about. These areas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, these are the forefront of climate change. This isn't a liberal thing. This is what we're going to deal with over the next decade. You're going to see wildfires year round. I just leave it at that. To me, seeing that, seeing them talk is so sad because I would ask them, what was the point? You could have went off and just been a homeless man on the corner holding a sign that said the world's going to end. I mean, more people would have cared about that. You would have got more attention doing that than writing limits to growth. I think the left, we're just keeping the fire burning, keeping the light on, and telling the history and the history of how America got where it's at, and the fact that we're behind the rest of the world. I leave it at that. Thanks for listening.